Sheffield United, 206 shots conceded in the Premier League in 2024. Who has the most shots conceded in the Premier League in 2024? It is Manchester United with 225 shots conceded. One of the worst teams that I have ever seen play in the Premier League has faced 19 fewer shots than Manchester United. This is Manchester United versus Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, and this is 5 things that we learned from that game. The first thing that we learned, and this isn't new, this isn't breaking news, but wow, it really did hammer it home to us in that game against Chelsea. Manchester United are bottle jobs. The players need to have a hard look in the mirror. The naivety, the lack of mentality, the lack of leadership, but also Erik ten Hag as a manager. I've seen people saying, you can't blame Erik ten Hag, it's the players' fault. They lack the mentality, they threw the game away. And of course the players, you need to look at them. We've been having this situation since the days of Demba Ba scoring against us in Europe when we had one player left on the halfway line off a corner. The mentality of Manchester United has been on the floor for years. But under Erik ten Hag this season, it has happened time and time and time again. 87 seconds it took to go from 3-2 to 4-3. 87 seconds. Manchester United were winning in the 96th minute against Brentford on Saturday, and they were winning the 96th minute against Chelsea. And from both of them games, out of 6 points, we came away with 1 point. That is embarrassing, and that is completely unacceptable. This cannot continue. The manager needs to look at himself and think, why can I not drill into this team some discipline? The players need to look at themselves, especially the senior players, and think, why can we not manage a game? I mean, the fact that when we concede, we don't even choose to see out a draw. Instead, you see players trying to go for glory. You see Dalot doing step overs, he's trying to basically make up for the goal that he's conceded with the penalty, which I don't even think is a penalty, by the way. But the whole team just lost complete control. And the fact that Palmer was free off a corner with no one around him is pathetic. And honestly, I cannot label it anything else apart from Manchester United. The mentality of this team, the way that we concede goals, it needs to be seriously looked at. So the second thing that we learned from that game is, surprise, surprise, the referees ruined the game once again. And I'm not blaming the referees for losing us that game, but there was a robbery down in London, and it was from Manchester United. Did Chelsea let us back into the game? Casemiro giving us the ball and Garnacho, obviously an excellent finish. But did they let us back into the game with mistakes? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Did we throw away the game by naivety and terrible decision making? Yes, we did. Did we not finish our chances when we should have? No, we didn't. Like, Man United are the reason that they don't walk away out of Chelsea with not even just 1 point, 3 points. Man United as a team are to blame for not having the points in that game. But my oh my, the referees did not do us any favours. Both penalties, in my opinion, should not have been penalties. Not only the penalties, I mean, if someone breathed on a player, it was a free kick. I mean, the referee, for me, just completely ruined the rhythm of the game. He blew for 3 free kicks left, right and centre, but then refused to give out any yellow cards. It was just very strange to me. But I tell you one thing now, if that first penalty that Anthony does on Cucurella is Manchester United, I don't think they get it. Second of all, if that penalty isn't given by the referee and is looked over at VAR, it doesn't stand. It is the slightest contact in the world. It shouldn't be a penalty. So that one, I don't think it should be a penalty, but okay, you know, it goes their way. But to have 2 soft penalties, I mean, Dalot, I think his arm brushes him, but Madueke falls over about a second later. I thought he must have, you know, trodden on him for him to go down like that. It wasn't a penalty. So Man United were hard done to by the officials, but I'm not making any excuses. We have blamed the officials a lot this season, and we know how poor the officiating is in the Premier League. But the fact of the matter is, Man United are walking out of London after this week with 1 point, and it is down to themselves because we can't manage games, and Ten Hag needs to come under criticism for that. Substitutions, I get we have to make them. Injuries, we've dealt with them. But at the end of the day, we need to know how to see out a game. We have 3 draws this season. 3 draws and 12 losses. That is not a coincidence, and it's something that needs to be looked at. I know the officiating was poor, but another thing we need to look at Erik ten Hag for, and I've been saying be patient with Erik ten Hag, and there is stuff I like about ten Hag, but this is another thing I need to look at Erik ten Hag with: substitutions and changing the game. You could see that Cole Palmer was ripping Dalot to shreds all game. I myself said, I sat here and said, I would have started Dalot at left back. I would have, because I think Dalot can play both sides well. I thought Wan-Bissaka had a really poor performance at left back in the Brentford game, and I said swap him over. I did say that, but I could tell 20 minutes into that game that Cole Palmer was an issue, and Ten Hag doesn't change him. He doesn't change him. Cole Palmer was ripping us. He was ripping us, and Dalot continues on that side, and he doesn't swap it. That was a mistake by Erik ten Hag. That was a mistake. Substitutions in that game, I get a lot of him was forced into through injuries, but Amrabat should have come on. He should have. We should have saw out that game in a better fashion. And to that, I feel like we do need to look at Ten Hag's in-game management a little bit, because it's not the first time this season it's happened. There's been some in-game management that has won us the game, and some of it has been great. But today, again, for me, just wasn't good enough. So the third thing that we learn is Garnacho and Antony were on fire. And this is a positive that we can take out of the game, because at the end of the day, we did score 3 goals, and Garnacho and Antony were massively involved in these. Antony was getting a lot of stick after giving away that penalty. Again, I don't think it was a penalty. And to be honest, the whole first half, I thought he was the best player on the pitch. I think Ten Hag gave him a chance. Has he performed poorly this season? And a lot of the times he's been given a chance. Yes, he has underperformed. But today, he was, for me, one of the best players for Manchester United. That cross with the outside of his foot was absolutely out of this world. That was Kevin De Bruyne, prime Kevin De Bruyne-esque. I'm not joking. It was unbelievable. He was taking on Cucurella. He was getting the best of Cucurella. He worked incredibly hard, and I think he's secured his spot in the following game, which evidently is against Liverpool. And I think Ten Hag went with him because he went with a winger he could trust. He went with a winger that would work hard, and I think Antony did repay him with that. I think he had a great game, and he kind of, the first time in a long time, proved to a lot of people what Erik ten Hag does see in him. So I was very happy with him. And if you look at his stats there as well, he was top for dribbles with 6 dribbles. He kept doing Cucurella, and in second place, the player in second place for dribbles only got 1. So that is a big difference. So Antony did really well, and it just shows as well what happens if you take on your man. Like, even when he had to cross it with the outside of his foot, because he is quite one-footed, it's still better to go at him and do that than cut back. Even his cutbacks, to be fair, he was finding passes with Bruno, with Højlund, and then he got to the byline that other time, completely ran the length of the pitch. I don't think many people knew how fast he actually was. Puts it across the byline. Højlund, if he was in a different place at that time, could have scored. So Antony did really well. I was really pleased for him, because obviously he's had such a poor season, really. And I thought that was a really good game to build off the back of his performance in the Liverpool game as well, where he scored a pivotal goal for us. And then Garnacho on the left, I think, proved why he loves playing on the left. That goal that he scores from Caseiro's mistake, where he does Badiashile, I think it was on his weak foot as well. Just calm, composed, excellent. This is a guy that's had, I think it's nearly 30 starts in a row for Manchester United at 19 years of age. Of course he's tired. He's been playing international football as well, and he still gives everything, runs his heart out. This game suited him. There was a lot of open space, but he did the work, and he earned that first goal. And then the second goal from the brilliant cross from Antony, that header was a brave header, especially by a young player that's quite inexperienced in the grand scheme of things. He's played a lot of games this season. That header was really, really good from Garnacho. So really pleased with him. Pleased with his development. Of course, is there still things to do? Is the peaks and troughs, because he's playing every minute under the sun and he is tired, and it would have been nice to ease him in, yes. Does he maybe have to work on his physicality a bit? Of course he does. But he is a shining light, and I thought Garnacho and Antony have both, for me, solidified their place in the starting 11 on Sunday. So that puts the cat amongst the pigeons. Where does Rashford fit in? Because when he came off the bench to play down the middle as well. Will Ten Hag start him against Liverpool? Get in the comments down below what you would do on that one. And then the fourth thing that I've learned is, I've learnt this a lot this season, but Casemiro for me is becoming a massive liability now for Manchester United. It's strange, because if you look at points won with Casemiro in the team, we are right up there. He's had a high success rate for Manchester United. He was one of our players of the season last season. He was unreal, and I was boasting about him left, right and centre, but this season he's just not been at the races. He really hasn't. Can he score a goal out of nowhere? Can he do a great cross the field pass and spread it out and just spread the football? Yes, he can. Is he good to have in there of his experience? Yes. But unfortunately, his body cannot keep up with the pace of the Premier League right now. The reason he dives in so often is because he will get done in a foot race. He leaves open spaces in that midfield. He's way too lackadaisy on the football. He is a liability, gives the ball away in dangerous areas way too much. Today, cut back for that first Gallagher goal. He's got his eyes on Gallagher and he loses him and Gallagher scores the goal. He dives in too much. He gets left for dead with pace too much. And honestly, I don't know if it's just because he's come back from injury, but I've seen it most of the season. He just isn't physically fit enough right now, from what I can see. So I'm worried about Casemiro. For me, there's a big question mark to be asked. Does Manchester United bite the bullet and do they sell Casemiro in the summer? Because for me, with the way he's playing right now, he can't be a starter next year. He's on 300 grand a week. Ideally, in an ideal world, I would like to keep Casemiro because I think in a knockout game, he's great to have. He can score you a goal for set piece and he's got height and he has leadership. He's got great experience from his games at Real Madrid and he's had an excellent career and I think he's a top-class footballer, by the way. But he cannot be a starter because he's too much of a liability. Can you keep someone who's not a starter on 300 grand a week? That's the question. Get in the comments down below what you would do with Casemiro next season. And am I being too harsh? It's just, honestly, I love the guy, but every game he's just massively frustrating me. And I think it's an issue. We need a midfield that has got good structure and is physically fit enough for the Premier League. And then the fifth and final thing, I mean, if we didn't know it already, Champions League football is absolutely gone. I'm worried now if we're going to get any sort of European football whatsoever. I mean, Chelsea now with that win over us, if we lose to Liverpool, they're 2 points behind us with a game in hand. I mean, imagine if Chelsea finish higher above us in the table, that'll be an absolute disaster. So I'm now looking at the teams behind us rather than the teams in front of us, which is really sad because Man United, if they would have played the cards differently, they could have been in with a shout of Champions League football. But to be brutally honest, we don't deserve Champions League football. We don't. If we would have won this game, which we didn't, it would have been 13 games now this season we'd won by only 1 goal. And all right, okay, yeah, you can say we did well to win them games, but it's not sustainable. The football United play isn't sustainable. We have been poor all season. Our performances haven't been deserving of Champions League football. Would I have absolutely loved to get it? Of course I would. But the fact of the matter is, Spurs play better football than us, and so do Aston Villa. We're not getting Champions League. That's over. Will we get Europa League? Get down in the chat. To be honest, I'm now thinking Europa League probably won't be end of the world if we can even get that as well, because whether it's Ten Hag or a new manager, it gives us more opportunity to focus on the league. That's probably our level right now. It allows us to give players more minutes that a squad plays to prove themselves. I mean, Ahmad, no minutes again today. Europa League games, I'm sure he would have been involved with, where he could have maybe made his stake for the starting 11 even stronger. Ten Hag, you would have thought he would have given him something after his amazing cameo against Liverpool, but he didn't. So for me, that's where I'm at now. I kind of feel deflated with it. Champions League football is gone. And another reason why Champions League football's gone, and I mean it's definitely off the cards, is injury crisis. We can't catch a break. We had to sub Varane off for injuries. I mean, we don't even know what the state of Varane's fitness is. It would be a real shame if that's the last game he's played for United. I mean, God knows, but it didn't look good. Again, I think it would be a mistake to get rid of Varane in the summer, I'm going to be honest with you, especially considering the situation we're in with centre-backs at the moment. I would be keeping Varane. I think it would be a mistake to get rid of him. But Varane had to come off. Then we bring on Evans, and he has a great, 10-15 minutes, blocks left, right and central. He's been worth his weight in gold for us this season, but comes off injured. We know he suffered from injuries in the past, and we know that Johnny Evans isn't exactly a spring chicken right now. Kumbuala has to go on. He gets thrown in the deep end. I think the guy did all right. I mean, obviously, he might have to be used more now. It's a tough game to come into. So, Ten Hag has had issues with injuries. The only thing we've got left to play for, really, is the FA Cup, knockout football. Coventry, you'd like to think we win that game. And let's just see if we can do it in the final. But this season, for me, I'm going to be honest, I can't wait for it to end. And that last-minute Cole Palmer goal was genuinely just a dagger. And it killed any sort of momentum I have right now, guys. But please get in the comments what you think. What are your thoughts on Ten Hag? Will he still be manager at the start of next season? where do Man United go from here? What are your expectations? Where do you think our best chances of finishing are this season, and what's the best chance we have to go out on a high? Like, do you think the FA Cup's on? Let me know your opinions. Let me know what you think about the 5 things that I came up with off the back of that game. We are now filming at 1 a.m, so please, 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 please give us a like. And yeah, I'm gutted. I'm absolutely gutted. There is a few positives to take, but mainly the same issues over and over again. Getting caught from cutbacks, we're getting targeted from it, switching off, lack of mentality, and just capitulation. That's all I can say. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Hopefully, we see a different Man United turn up at Old Trafford on Sunday. I am scared going into that game, but we will see you on the next one.